I received a comment, which was, I had to think about it, whether there was any truth whatsoever, or that I felt that that was the case with what was being commented. But my whole point of my rambling and telling people you don't need this, it's really based not because the tool is not better, not because you can't buy a better grinder, not because you can't buy a better lathe, not because you cannot buy, that I'm not advising you not to go out and buy the best of anything you can afford. My only setback, and that's where I come off, and maybe that's what perhaps somebody saw and was commenting on, is that you do not need to. Now, want to and need to are two separate things. Want to is because you want to have the very best of anything. Need to is only when there's no way to work with what you got. And my focus is that you can work on what you got if you can't afford, and it will do the same job. A little bit tougher, not as much of a reach, whatever it is, but it can be worked. I've been working with this gouge. I got almost no metal left on this since I started turning. 2 years. It's been my favorite piece. Even now it's getting harder to reach and lightweight, especially for the biggest stuff that I'm turning. I still find myself grabbing this one all the time. It's not because it's a great tool. It's a tool that I accustomed myself to, and I really found its strengths with the way I turn, and therefore it became very easy for me to work with, handle, and know how it behaved. Now, if somebody is telling you, hey, what is the better of the lathes? I mean, there could be disputes on this. What are the better lathes that I could look at? By all means, look at the best. I mean, robust. It's the Cadillac, in my opinion. Since I saw the first time somebody turning on one, it's like, oh my God, that's got to be the nicest lathe ever. The Sweet 16, the removable bed, you got the gap, you have distance. I mean, that's a Cadillac of a lathe. And if you're buying a lathe and you're looking to do bowls and you can afford it, that's, in my opinion, to be the best lathe. And then it trickles down to a one-way, and then perhaps a Powermatic, and I would put the Nova right after that. I don't think you can buy any one of those lathes and never be sorry that you bought one. But if you got $500 to spend on your shop, on your lathe, okay, and you don't even have a lathe, and you want to get started with turning, go to your Craigslist. And you're not going to find a Powermatic really cheap. You're going to find it with a little bit of savings. You can find them if you dig around or hang around long enough until they show up. But you're going to find lots and lots of lathes in the category of what I turn on. It's not to say that they are anywhere near being a top end lathe. But with $200, you can buy a lathe. $80, you can buy a turning tool set, meaning 2 roughing gouges, a parting tool, a scraper, flat edge scraper, and a small, maybe a 1/4 inch detail gouge or spindle gouge. But you can buy the whole set for around $80. If you again shop through Craigslist, you can buy quality set sometimes for around that price. Or you can go out and buy a quality one gouge at $150. I paid $80, I think, for the set of 3. So is it as good as the $150 single gouge? Probably not. But do I care? Does it really matter to me? Is it really that important? Because I know what I need this for. I need this to cut wood, and I need it to reach further places than where I was reaching with what I had. So if you can do it with a $150 gouge, you can do it with this one at a 1/4 of its price, but you will have to sharpen it a little bit more often probably than the $150. I wouldn't know because I never owned one. But there's a difference between buying what's in your means and buying the best because somebody else has it. And I go off a little bit when somebody says, if you're in the market to buy a bowl gouge, here's my suggestion. This is the very best tool. And that's what I'm against. If you're in the market to buy a bowl gouge, buy based on what you can afford. And that's all. If I wanted to go out today and buy a $500 set of tools, I'm sure that I could. But you know something? I would feel extremely guilty showing you that I'm using a $500 tool when I know that I can do it with what I got. And that's what's behind my channel. That's what I try to emphasize on. It's a beautiful hobby. It's been therapeutic for me. It's a way to express creativity. You know, to me, it's the tool that I can create the most art out of all the tools that I got in my shop. Okay, but back to the lathe. All right, and this is a lathe is a domino effect on what you need to buy. You buy a lathe, $200 or whatever, a decent lathe, and I say, you know, buy decent. And if you need advice on differences, you know, I can maybe help you or tell you places that you can look. Craigslist, your daily thing, eBay, yard sales, garage sales. You know, don't put those off. You know, they are sometimes good sources for what you can get, and you can buy an older, good quality lathe. You want brand new, you can go to Harbor Freight. And I know many wood turners and good wood turners who are turning on a Harbor Freight lathe. You know, a 1236, rotating head, Reeves drive, on a fly. So, yeah, I mean, is it the best lathe? Probably not. But I guarantee you, it's compatible lathe to all those in that same range. So, one might have a slightly better motor, or, you know, one might run, I'm not even going to say a little bit truer, but the metal might be a little bit better, and that's important on your tool list, trust me. So, there are slight differences, but not enough difference that it can get you back on the lathe, or get you started on a lathe. You know, brand new, $240, you can buy Harbor Freight. $80 tool set that sets you up at $320, $340. But there's another thing you're probably going to need. You're going to want to true up your blanks. I know a lot of people who do it with just an electric chainsaw, and they cut it in octagon shapes, hexagon, and get it as close to round with just a chainsaw. But a bandsaw goes a long way. So if you get a lathe and all of a sudden you are desperately looking for a bandsaw to help you out. And it's the same situation. You can go out and buy $1,000, $2,000 bandsaw, or you can go out, shop around, come up sometimes with a good buy. I admit, I think I found a good buy when I bought my Delta. $120, but I invested into it. I put riser blocks because 12-inch was not sufficient for what I wanted to do. So I bought riser blocks, aftermarket. I had to re-drill it. So what? I had to re-drill it so they sit the post. I know that it's not going anywhere. But if I went with the Delta riser blocks, I would be looking at $250 just for a piece of metal. Just for a piece of metal, the post and the blade guard. $49 at Grizzly for an aftermarket. Does the same job. So this is what I mean about being stuck on name brand. And it's like, oh, it's a name brand. It's better than a Harbor Freight. Oh my God, I wouldn't be seen turning on a Harbor Freight. Give me a break. A Harbor Freight will do as well as what I'm using right here. Would a Jet or with a Delta, would I feel a little bit better with those? Probably, but it would not change on what I could do one versus the other. What I could do on the Harbor Freight, it's going to be the same thing that I can do on the Jet or the Delta or whatever else. It's in the same category. We're not going to mix orange and apple or compare orange with apples. We'll stick with, if it's a 1236 lathe, whether it's a Delta, Jet, or the Harbor Freight, they're all going to do the same job. Is one better quality? Most likely. Or better. And some is just opinion. Rather than actually being better or not. I don't know. I'm not going to get into those specifics. But what I'm going to say is I started turning probably with an investment of $300. Then I spent another $100 on the bandsaw. Then I spent another $20 on a used grinder. You need a grinder. Used. It worked. It was a Craftsman. Even the bearings were not that good, and it still worked. Then I came across another deal on another grinder for another $20, and I bought it. But the grinder is not that expensive. You can buy them for $59. You can buy them $300. It depends on what you want. And I bought a $20 drill press. Am I ashamed of it? No. You can't believe it. I'm not ashamed of it. I am proud of it. I personally like old tools because I'm an old fart, not because they're better than anything else. It's an old tool. Very, very basic. But, I bought me a drill press. You don't need a drill press for the lathe. I bought it because it was $20. So, everything that I got, the most expensive thing that I have, and I haven't even used it, is my DeWalt scroll saw. I bought it because I had a cheap Delta, a very inexpensive entry line, and the motor gave up on it. So it's like, okay, and I came across this DeWalt, and am I glad I bought it? No. I'm just disappointed my Delta entry level gave up on me because it didn't have the variable speed, but I've done more on it than I've done on a $400 DeWalt. So, you buy what you can afford and don't put yourself in debt. No, it's like, oh, Joe's got this long bar for boring. Guess what? I don't bore things that are that long. So, but if I was, I'd probably be looking at how I was going to make one or buy one or whatever the case would be. But I would need something outside of my tools that I got that would reach as deep as I wanted to make. If I was making bowls 30 inches, 40 inches, well, I would not be able to do on what I got, because there's no way that my lathe could even handle something of that size. So I would have to invest or look at outrigs, outboards turning, or do something else. But you know something? Most people with a 12-inch lathe, even if they had a 20-inch lathe, they probably wouldn't be making it much over that 12-inch range. Mines can do that because I put riser blocks on it, and I find myself, all my pieces are 10, 12, occasionally I'll have a piece that's maybe 16, 17 inches, occasionally. But most of my pieces fall within that range of that 12-inch or less bowl. So you can work with lathes that don't have the capacity. Oh my God, enough of my rambling again. And it's just a clarification. I'm sorry if I come across as being one that the reason why I might be saying these things is jealousy. I doubt it very much if that's the case. But if you feel that that's the case, I don't even mind if you comment, because maybe I can correct myself, or perhaps not be judgmental, or not knock something. I don't know how that was derived, because if you've only seen one video and I'm knocking something or part of it, you can get to that interpretation. But if you see the variety of my videos, many of my videos, you're going to see that that's not the case, even if I'm not bringing it up. It's because I want you to encourage you guys who are just starting out and who cannot or don't want to invest all the money into a top of the line and wants to get your feet wet with it and see how it is, or if you're going to take it a liking to the craft. This is where you can start, and where you can shop around, and where you can get the right deal or the right piece to suit what you're going to be doing. Back to this.